If you have a great idea, but then you have no vision or you have no strategy to go with the great idea, then it's all for naught. After 5 years, 51% of those businesses fail. And after 10 years, a full 66% of those businesses that were started today will be gone.
In 2023, there were 5.5 million business applications filed in the US. In 2024, there were 5.3 million business applications filed in the US. However, the statistics show that only 23% of them actually fail in the first year. However, after 3 years, 40% of those businesses failed. After 3 years. So what does that mean with all the numbers, right? So to me, I'm thinking about the visions, the passions, all the visions of all of the businesses, families, individuals, hopes, and dreams that failed in the first 3 years. That's why we have this episode. My name is Moza-Bella, and welcome to Lessons from Failures. We have this episode today to dedicate to all the small businesses. So if you are an entrepreneur, please stay until the end. This episode is actually dedicated to you. We have Scott Miller here today with us, and we're going to talk about the keys to successful businesses. So tell me what you think about those numbers.
They're startling, and it gets worse than that. After 5 years, 51% of those businesses fail, and after 10 years, a full 66% of those businesses that were started today will be gone. They'll be out of business. So the good news is 34% of the people make it. So that's very good, right?
Right.
And then the other thing to note is that out of all these, the total, those are starts, but the total in the US is about 34.8 million small businesses. A small business is defined as a business under $47 million.
Right.
I don't know where they came up with that number. It seems they could have just said 50, but the number is 47. And out of that, only 9% of those businesses eclipse $1 million in revenue. So, 81 or 91% of the businesses are less than $1 million. I don't know the exact statistic, but it's a large number of them that never make more than $50,000 in a year. So in other words, somebody starts a business, they're a sole proprietor or they're a partnership, and they basically buy themselves a job, right? They get themselves a job. So now there's freedom that comes with that, which is, as you and I know in entrepreneurial, in the world of an entrepreneur, the freedom is kind of a, it's a little bit elusive, right? Most people leave a job where they make, X number of dollars working 40, 50 hours a week to go to work for themselves and make half that amount and work 70, 80, 90 hours a week. So I don't know if that's freedom, but, nonetheless. So, but the numbers are startling. And, the good news is after the first year, a full, 77% of them are still in business.
Right.
So they have a fighting chance, right? The numbers go down from there because as you study business over time, what generally happens is somebody comes into the market with an idea that's a fad, or so they come into the market and they open this business that's kind of a fad of the time. And then if they don't keep up with the times, one of the biggest indicators of failure later on in business is the failure of the business to keep up with the industry or keep up with, like as an example, if you were building, if you were a company that manufactured toll booths, 30 years ago, you were pumping out toll booths all over the place, right? Almost every country has tolls for their roads. Today, they're all gone. Now there's, a bar that goes across the highway with no person there. So the job's been eliminated. The toll booth's been eliminated.
That's so true.
So unless you innovated and moved with the technology, you're out of business at this point, right?
Right. So yes, and that is a great observation, right? So I know that you've been in business for a very long time, and I know that you've come up with the keys to successful businesses. Would you like to share with those people? So if I know that there are 15 key factors that you, before the sake of, the audience here today, what do you think would be the number one thing that people need to know or to focus on? What would that be?
So the number one is vision and strategy, right? And that needs to be your focus. If you have a great idea, but then you have no vision or you have no strategy to go with the great idea, then it's all for naught, right? You can't launch that idea.
So what you're saying is that an idea is different from a vision. Like people can say, okay, I have an idea and I have a dream. So to you, it's not a vision.
Well, I would say the most ideas are probably born from a vision, right? Somebody that's sitting out, wherever they contemplate life or business, they're sitting there and they're thinking about, how do I make money, or how do I start a business, or what do I want to do, or what is my passion? All these things that everybody typically asks themselves, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur or you work for a company, you're not going to go work at a job, generally speaking, that you absolutely hate or doesn't align with you or something like that, right? So, as an example, I don't smoke cigarettes. I would never take a job working for a tobacco company, things like that. So, but often our ideas are born from a vision. We sit down and we say, man, I'd really love to do this or that, or help these people, or help this group, or help my community in a certain way. And then the light bulb goes off. Okay, here's an idea that I can now implement that would help me to obtain my vision, right? And then the second piece to that is you have to have a strategy.
Right.
A great example of this is if you're looking for a sunrise and you're facing west, you're never going to see the sunrise. You'll see some great sunsets, but you're not going to see a sunrise, right? So you have to have the right strategy. In the US, if you're going to drive from, New York to Los Angeles, you have to get into the car and you have to face west and step on the gas and go. If you get on I-95 South and start driving, you're going to end up in Florida. You're not going to end up in California, right? So that was a bad strategy.
Yeah. So
right?
You're talking about strategy is like a roadmap, right? That people need to have an appropriate or proper, the right roadmap for them to get to the destination.
Yeah, that's strategy, and strategic vision is kind of a larger look or purview at something. And then you can get down into the details from there, right? Strategic thinking is, here's my idea, here's what I'm doing. Now, how am I going to implement that? How am I going to put that, what actions am I going to take to get to this vision down the road, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road.
So that's key number one is vision and strategic focus.
Yeah.
So what would be the number two?
So the number two is financial acumen. If you have zero ability to understand a balance sheet, to understand profit and loss, to understand basic math when it comes to finances in a business, then you're going to have a very difficult time. And a lot of entrepreneurs, I think one of the reasons why so many of them fail is because they don't properly plan the finances of the business. As an example, you'll hear me, I always talk about net. Gross revenue means almost nothing in a business.
Right.
We see this time and time again. You could start a business and you could really drive top line revenue. At the end of the year, you could have $5 million of revenue, which would be a spectacular win. Mm-hmm. But if it costs you $7.5 million to make
right.
$5 million, then you're on a short road to nowhere.
Right.
Unless you have a lot of cash reserves in the bank, you're not going to stick around for very long. You're going to be one of the 23% that's done at the end of the first year.
Right. But most people don't talk about it, right? They said, okay, so what's your revenue? They're going to say, oh, it's 5 million, this year. So that's great, but that doesn't mean anything, like you said.
Well, I consult with a lot of businesses, and surprisingly, many of them, not all of them, have no clue about their financials, about their numbers.
Which is
They
very
do-
surprising, right? Very
It's
surprising.
shocking. It's not
Yeah.
even surprising. It's shocking, and as the business kind of develops, you need to understand, cash flow strategies, right? You need to understand EBITDA, right? What is the cash flow of the business? Most people, small businesses, you ask them what is EBITDA, they don't even know what it means, right? And then your net. How much money do you have left over after you pay your taxes, right?
Yep.
So your gross revenue is your top line revenue. Your net is your profit, right? Your gross profit. Your net is your profit after taxes, right? And then EBITDA is a way to measure cash flow, right?
Yeah.
So
And for the sake of our audience here, could you explain what EBITDA means?
yeah, so EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So
Yeah, say that one more time so we can take notes.
okay, EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Got it.
All right?
Yep.
So in other words, cash flow.
Okay.
How much money do you have? So in other words, you're not taking into account the effects on a balance sheet of your deductions and things like that. You
Yep.
want to know what is the pure cash flow of the business.
Very good. All right. So basically, we need to know the money, cash flow, the net to net, and not just the revenue. And what would be number 3?
Number 3 is effective marketing. Okay? I'm a sales guy. I've been in sales for a long time, 40 years. And it pains my heart to say this, but it's the truth, is that, many companies talk about their sales and marketing department. That's technically incorrect. It should be the marketing and sales department, right? Because without a customer, you can't sell them anything. You need to have an effective marketing strategy. How do you get your product? How do you get the word out to the marketplace? And then the sales is, how do you make how do you sell that product to the customer? But if I don't have a customer, I can't sell them anything. So that's the kind of the trick, right? Is how do you effectively brand your business, market your business, get the message out, and then get somebody to buy that product from you, right? And sales, often you'll hear sales is referred to, it's a transfer of enthusiasm. That's it, right? So it's I'm enthusiastic about my product. Somebody in the marketing department got a customer to show up in front of me, and then I transfer that enthusiasm for the product from me to you if you're the customer, right? And then when you receive the product, you need to feel as though you got more value than what you paid me. So if I sell you something for $10, generally speaking, if you feel like you got less than $10 of value, you won't give me a good review. You won't come back and buy from me again. And the trust even though you haven't done anything egregious or on purpose, but the trust at that point has been broken, right?
Right.
If it's a break even, if you sell me something for $10 and I got $10 worth of value, I may or may not come back, right? I trust you, I got a good deal, but tomorrow if I see the same product from somebody else for $8, I'm going to try them. Mm-hmm. But if I sell you something for $10 and you go home or you walk away from that transaction and you're like, man, that's like $17 worth of value I just got from these guys. Yeah. You're going to come back over and over and over, and you're going to tell everybody you know.
Yep.
About the great deal that you got, or
right.
the great transaction that took place.
Yep. So yes, and I agree with you. What I'm hearing is that marketing is different from effective marketing. People, that's number one. Number two is that people actually buying the values, right? It's all about the perception. They don't buy a product or a service. They buying the values that they think that exceeded the money that they had to spend.
Yes.
Am I correct?
That's correct, and you hit on a key point. the difference between marketing and effective marketing is I go out and I buy a bunch of ad space, or I get a billboard or something, and I put up my ad, and that's my marketing. Effective marketing would be that I know my avatar, I know my demographic, I know my, I know who my audience is, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm trying to sell, adult diapers to a 30-year-old man or woman who's in great shape and not, their perfect picture of health.
Right.
If I'm not going to sell many.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Maybe that wasn't a good example, but
it's like a no-brainer.
But I use that to illustrate the importance of the right audience, right? Again, if you're trying to sell, Bentley cars to people that are on government assistance, you're probably not going to sell them any car, but you're definitely not going to sell them a Bentley.
Right.
So it's, you got to know who your audience is. And then, so effective marketing is, how do I get an emotional message to that avatar, right? So I want them to feel, what is the destination of using my product? I don't want to give them the experience of using my product. Like, if I'm selling this cup, right? What do you want this cup for? You want this cup so that you can take a drink. But I'm not going to sell you by saying, hey, take this cup, pick it up and take a drink. That every cup does that.
Right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to say to you, hey, when you use a cup with a gold handle on it, mm-hmm. and you're in a situation where you're talking to, somebody who's more sophisticated, this is going to put you, this is going to transport you into their world, mm-hmm. right? You're going to become more of a sophisticate, I'm using kind of a silly example with a cup, but, it's, I want them to feel what is the end result of using my product. Not, anybody can buy a cup and drink from it, right? That's the features and benefits, right? The mm-hmm. feature is it holds a liquid.
Right. Yep.
The benefit is when I'm thirsty, I take a drink. What is the destination?
Right.
So.
Yeah, that must be more than just to serve that one purpose. It's not just that. It's the emotional connection with the products or services that you're selling.
100%.
So those are good. So now the vision and strategy, right? Financial acumen and effective marketing. And I can relate with that. I work with a lot of clients, and a lot of times I would like to say, like, 7 out of 10 of our customers, just say the 7 out of 10, they come and they said, okay, well, we asked, do you have anybody who's helping you with marketing or PR? I said, yes, we do have somebody. Marketing more so than PR. We have a team, yes. But then they're not effective. They thought that they're doing the right thing, but it's not effective. So therefore, you think that you cover all the bases. However, you don't see the result. The revenue, there's no growth. There's no, increase in profitability, and you get lost. And now you're just wondering, why is it that your business doesn't grow in the last 2 or 3 or 5 years? So there must be a strategy that tied into your goal and your vision. And the marketing piece is going to help you to kind of leading into the sales team how to do that. That's how I see everything ties together. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, if the customer doesn't know what their destination is, the first thing we need to do for that client is to get them to understand where they're going. Because if we don't know that and they don't know that, then we're going to throw a bunch of, ideas at something until we find out what that is. That's a waste of time and it's a waste of money. We in our business, we do not endeavor to just collect money from people.
Right.
That's not our goal.
Yeah.
Our goal is to have again, going back to what we were talking about before, is have the client come in and have us come up with understanding their destination so that we can help them to achieve that.
Right.
And then the ideas just seem to flow, right?
Yep.
Then our creative team will talk to the client, and we could just, at that point, we come up with things that move them toward that end, right? Instead of, I've got a cup, I'm going to sell this, those are, that often doesn't work out because it's, after a while, then, and these are a lot of the clients we pick up where we're talk to them and we find out that they've been working with somebody, but they didn't get a result, or they've been working with them for 18 months and they still don't have a clear idea of what they're doing, and so it's important to identify that, and then and the client needs to, sometimes we may need to help them, but they need to know what that is in their life, right?
So if they don't know, okay, so if they said, okay, well, this is what my desire, but I don't know, then would you be willing to share with them some of your, the successful, the keys to successful business? I know that we mentioned 3. Would you be willing to share with them the rest of everything else?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've identified 15 keys to business, what I believe are 15 keys to business. We covered 3 today, but I want to be careful how I say this, but there's some people that we'll meet with that we should not work with. Like, we can't help them because either they're not clear on what they want, or what they want is outside of, the scope of how maybe we can help them. If somebody's clear about what they want, then absolutely we can help them. We have, 3 we've talked about today. There's 12 more that if anybody would like to find out what they are, reach out to us. And
So how do they find you?
Yeah, so they could just email me at our website is moza-bella.com, right? MOZA-BELLA. And then my email address, which you can email me directly, I answer all my emails, is scott@moza-bella.com.
Okay, great. But in the meantime, you can just use those. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us. I hope that you enjoy the episode today. I hope that you taking some notes and get some good information out of this. Contact Scott. He is willing to share, and all of his information. So yes, so I hope that you guys got some good information from the episode today. So if you are, again, business owner or an entrepreneur, just reach out to Scott. He has, he's gonna get on the phone with you or get on a Zoom with you, and he's gonna share his thoughts and his information. His I don't want to say advice, but he's a wealth of knowledge. And subscribe here. We're gonna have a lot of information. We just want to share. We travel all over the world, and wherever we go, we learn more about other businesses, and we're going to share that with you as well. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching Lessons from Failures. My name is Moza-Bella. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.